What up, crew? It is Magic Monday, and man, do I have a great quote for you today. This is by Roy T. Bennett. Believe in yourself. You are braver than you think, more talented than you know, and capable of more than you can imagine. Just take a minute, let that sink in. And not only do I have that amazing quote, but I also have an insane card trick that would fool some of the smartest people. So, let's do it. Alright guys, now check this out. For this trick, I actually need two spectators. We have spectator 1 and spectator number 2. To start off this trick, I hand the deck over to spectator number 1, and then me being the performer, I just turn my back. So I instruct spectator number 1 to shuffle the deck as much as they'd like, so they can go ahead and do that. Once they're done shuffling, they let me know. And now I tell them to go ahead and deal off as many cards as they'd like. So they start dealing. Let's just say they stop right here. So they're going to take a look and remember this card. Hopefully you got that memorized, and you need to memorize it because I'm going to have you pick another card in a minute. So that's first card. They leave it back on the dealt pile, and we close that up. Now, spectator number 1 hands the deck over to spectator number 2, and spectator number 2 does the same thing. And we'll stop right here, take a look, and remember that card. Alright, so spectator number 1 has a card, this spectator number 2's card, they put it here as well. Put that right underneath the rest of the deck. And then right before, me being the performer, right before I turn back around, they give the deck one final cut. So now at this point, after I turn around, I immediately start splitting the deck into 2 piles. Alright, now as I'm splitting this deck, you guys can just take a minute and chill. Generally, I'd have the spectator do this, but since there's no spectator here, it's just me. I'm going to be doing this, meanwhile you just chill. Okay, so now that we have 2 even piles, I'm going to look at the first pile right here, and I'm going to show spectator 1 this pile. If spectator number 1's card is in this pile, they're going to tell me yes. If it's not in this pile, then we'll just confirm that it's in this pile. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. Hopefully spectator number 1 remembers their card, otherwise this whole thing will not work. Okay. Okay, so I'm assuming your card was not in that pile. So let's just actually double check in this pile, ensure it's there. All right. All right, so hopefully you saw it in that pile, because if you did not see it in that pile, then we're kind of screwed. All right, so I'm just gonna come here now. And I'm going to have spectator 1 start dealing off. I'm going to switch this up. Spectator 1 start dealing off of this pile, and spectator 2 start dealing off of this pile. All right, so we're going to start doing that. And what's going to be cool is both of them are going to arrive at their card at the exact same time. So check this out. This may take a minute, but soon you'll arrive at the spectators' selected cards. And there you go. We have the 8 of club and the 5 of spades. Alright guys, welcome to the tutorial. Just a little background on this effect. It's known as the mathematical card trick by Dr. Jacob Daly. And honestly, I think it's a fantastic effect to fool some of those people who just think they're too smart for you. So let's go ahead and break it down. Now, starting off this effect, I would recommend that you have a deck of 52 cards just because this is based off of a mathematical principle, but I do believe it should work with an even number of cards as well. As I like to do with most impromptu card tricks, I like to hand the deck over to the spectator and let them first shuffle up the deck. So keep in mind, while the spectator is shuffling up the deck, this trick actually can be done. The beginning part of this trick can be done with your eyes closed or your back turned, which makes this effect a lot more powerful. So what I like to do is I like to hand the deck over to the spectator and turn my back or either close my eyes and then tell the spectator to go ahead and shuffle up the deck. This again just instills more into the spectator's mind that there's no way you know what's going on. So for the first go about and shuffle up the deck. Once the shuffling is complete, I tell the spectator to go ahead and deal off as many cards as they would like. So now, one thing you do have to keep in mind is you have to know how many cards are being dealt. So if I have my back turned or my eyes closed, I do have to listen very carefully to see how many cards are being dealt. But if you are in a loud environment, I would recommend just keeping your eyes on how many cards the spectator is dealing. So let's say the spectator goes ahead and deals off 8 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have to keep in mind if the number dealt is odd or even. Okay, so in this case, it's an even number. So since the number is even, you want the spectator to take a look at the next card. Okay, so since it's an even number, the spectator would take a look at the next card, which coincidentally is the 8 of clubs, which was there in the performance, so that's pretty cool. But so that's what happens if they deal an even number of cards. If they dealt an odd number of cards, so if they dealt one more, then they would take a look at the card on top of this pile, and it's again the 8 of clubs, and that would be it. So you have to know how many cards the spectator is dealing, and you have to know if the number is odd or even. If it's even, they take the next card. If it's odd, they take a look at this card. But regardless of if it's even or odd, you want them to place the card right back on top of the dealt pile. So at this point, you know in this entire pile, there are 9 cards after that last card is dealt. You have to remember that number 9, okay? So that happens there. And also, you don't have to remember the number 9. What you actually have to do is split the number 9 in half. So 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. And you want to drop off everything after the decimal. So you want to remember your key number is 4, okay? So that's one thing you have to remember. The number 4, that's all you're remembering. So now the deck is handed over to the second spectator. Second spectator does the exact same thing. Let's say they deal, 15 cards. They're crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And again, this is an odd number, so you have them take a look and remember this card. It is the 8 of diamonds. So the first card is 8 of clubs, 8 of diamonds. Easy to remember. And at this point, you don't have to memorize anything else. As long as you make sure that the amount of cards in this pile is odd, you're all good. So the first card, 8 of clubs, 8 of diamonds. You have them complete the cut or put the cards right back on the deck and then give the deck a cut. And at this point is when I turn right back around. From here, the cards are split into 2 even piles. And again, I like to actually have the spectator do this just because it involves them more. And the more the spectators involved, the more fun they'll have with the effect and the more impactful it will be at the end. So cut into 2 piles. Almost done. Almost done. All right, so the cards are cut into 2 piles. Now, at this point, what you do is you take the pile on your left, okay? So the pile that's being dealt to on your left, and you show that to spectator number 1. And as you're showing this pile to the spectator, what you're telling them is you want to ensure or ask them to see if their card is in this pile. Remember, the spectator number 1 picked the 8 of clubs. Again, you wouldn't know that being the performer, but you just go ahead. And one thing you have to remember again is that key number of 4. So as you're actually going through like this, showing the cards to the spectator, right? You're doing this, showing the cards to the spectator. You want to get a break right underneath the 4th card from the top. So what I actually like to do is, as I'm spreading through, I just push this down just so I can kind of grab a break once I square up this entire pile, okay? So just, you want to push the card at your key number down. So you're showing the cards to the spectator. What was the card? Right, the card was the 8 of clubs for spectator number 1. So they're going through, and let's say, do we see the 8 of clubs? Yep, we see the 8 of clubs. So since we see the 8 of clubs in this pile, we're now gonna go ahead, take the cards that are break, and just undercut them, and then we're all set and ready to do the reveal. But now let's say if the 8 of clubs was not in this pile, right? So if the 8 of clubs was not in this pile, you would not move any of the other cards. You would come to the pile here, as I did in my performance. You would come to the other pile and ask spectator number 1 again, is your card in this pile? Just to ensure that the card is still here. But now, instead of undercutting 4 cards, you're gonna undercut 5 cards because you switched to the other pile. So you go ahead, you show them the same thing. You get that, you pull that card down just so it's easier to undercut later on. You show them the entire deck, or you show them this half. They say their card is here. So if the card is here, you're gonna undercut 5 cards. So again, just one final recap. If the card is in the original pile, you undercut the key card, well, the key number of cards. If the card is in the right pile, which is the second pile, you undercut the key number of cards plus 1. Okay, now honestly, I don't remember. Did we undercut here? Oh, no, we did not. Okay, so you go ahead, move those 4 cards to the bottom. And again, this can just be done in the pretense of, you know, just doing it, just because, again, you do it more casually, people are not going to care about it as much. So you go ahead and do that. And now I like to give the spectator 1 the deck that their card is in. Spectator number 2 gets the other one. And now I have them both start dealing off at the same time. And again, more involvement from the spectator, the better. So they keep on going, they keep on going. I generally don't like to have them reveal their card, but if you want them to reveal their card, you're free to do that. I just like to have them come at a natural stopping point as soon as they get to their card. So they're dealing. This may take a while. Whew. There we go. They're dealing, and they both arrive to their card at the exact same time. And what's mind-blowing about this is that you have no idea where their card is. You have no idea what cards they picked. You did not even look what was happening during the entire selection process. And yet the spectators were able to position their cards at the exact same location, I guess, in separate piles. And that's what really just, what's the word for it? And that's what really baffles people, because they have no idea how the mathematical aspect of it works, or if you actually did slide a hand. So overall, this card trick will not give you like a super insane reaction kind of thing, but it will be difficult for some of those brainiacs to figure out. So I wouldn't say this is a difficult card trick to do. I would say this is more of an intermediate level card trick that just has a lot more involved than the other card tricks that I've shown on this channel so far. So if you guys enjoyed this effect and want to see more like it, make sure to go ahead and check out that video. I'll see you there. Peace out.